So, ilang araw nang trending yung balita tungkol sa possible IPOs for 2026. So, andyan nga yung IPO daw ng PNB Holdings and syempre, yung sobrang tagal nang inaantay na GCash IPO. So, hoping yung PSE na makakapag-list sila ng at least dalawa for this year. So, syempre, since andyan yung hype with regards to the GCash IPO, syempre, imposibleng hindi mapag-usapan yung Globe, 'di ba? Since Globe owns a significant ownership sa GCash. And halos synonymous nga, pag sinabi mong GCash, alam ng mga tao na Globe yan. But the thing is, if you've been exposed already to the stock market since 2023, 2024, or kahit last year ng 2025, you know na overall, yung Globe is hindi masyadong maganda yung ginagawa niya, And ito nga, for 2025, last year, yung revenues at yung income niya talaga down, For the first 9 months of the year. So, of course, maraming naguguluhan, maraming gustong malaman if okay pa ba yung Globe, Because despite being down by a significant percentage from last year, hindi natin made-deny na isa sa mga maganda at malaking companies yung Globe because of the dividend yields na binibigay nila, which is consistent at talagang every year talagang na-fulfill nila yung pagbigay ng dividends ng quarterly. So for this video, I'll be talking about the facts surrounding Globe, why the price has been going lower, at syempre pag-uusapan ko dyan yung GCash IPO, and of course I'll be talking about the speculative nature of the stock, and syempre hindi pwedeng hindi mapag-usapan yung charts or yung technicals. But first things first, disclaimer lang, the analysis and opinions discussed in this video is for educational purposes only and should not be considered as financial or investment advice. So trading and investing both have risks, which means it could lead to potential losses. So make sure that you do your own research, due diligence before making any personal financial decisions. So personal disclosure lang, I actually have a position sa Globe since October pa. And yung average price ko nga is around 1,491. So, I'm currently up by around 11.30%, so nearly 12%, not counting the dividends. Para lang din alam nyo, kung ano yung perspective at point of view ko because I have a position sa Globe. So, you know where I'm coming from with this Globe outlook, Okay, so now that's out of the way, pag-usapan na natin yung facts surrounding Globe. 2025, yung stock performance ng Globe, nearly 28% drop, So, to be specific, negative 27.47%. So, talagang bugbog yung Globe, And to be fair, hindi lang naman Globe yung company or stock na nagsuffer greatly last year kasi lagpas kalahati ng mga index stocks na part ng PSEI, talagang bumaba talaga sila because talagang mahina yung performance overall ng market natin. But since Globe has established a low nung November 7 ng 2025, yung na-establish nyo na low is 1,401. As of the January 14 closing price na 1,660, up na yung Globe ng 18.48%. So, ibig sabihin, down siya ng negative 27.47%, but the price has recovered already by nearly 19% since November 7. So, of course, there's two major questions or two things to think about. Bakit ba yung performance ng Globe for 2025 is a very weak performance, And bakit sa loob ng 2 months, kasi first week November nag-start, And nasa second week January na tayo, so a little bit more than 2 months. Why has the price already recovered by nearly 19%? So, in order for you to really understand why is this happening, syempre kailangan nating pag-usapan kung ano ba yung income source, diba? Revenue source ng Globe. So, how does the stock, how does the corporation, how does the company make money? So, what you'll see here is a conglomerate map of Globe. So, I got this from their annual report, So, official yan. And as you can see, lahat ng mga squares dito na nakikita nyo is either a company that's fully owned by Globe, so subsidiary nila, or company or corporation na under sa kanila, or di kaya isang company na kung saan part owner sila. So, ang dami-dami niya, And of course, I won't be discussing everything na nakikita nyo dito sa list ng companies nila. But if we're going to categorize talaga yung segments kung paano kumikita or how Globe makes revenue, gets their income, we can divide it into 3 major categories lang naman. So, I'm sure you already know that Globe is one of the biggest telco companies in the Philippines. That's why you can see here na yung core telco business nila and other items na somehow related pa rin naman sa telco, talagang 3/4 nung donut chart na to na-occupy talaga niya, no? And then, the second category on how Globe makes money is through GCash. And meron pang mga maliliit na companies na mga joint ventures but sobrang onti lang yan, no? Halos less than 1% lang. That's why medyo irrelevant talaga siya when it comes to the company as a whole. So, if we're going to look at the donut chart, we can see that the telco segment is about 74% of Globe income and ito nga, yung GCash segment makes up about 25% of Globe income, which is about 1/4, diba? So, 3/4 and 1/4. So, yung telco segment ng Globe, madidivide natin into 3 na subcategories kung paano sila kumikita ng pera. So, andyan yung una, mobile services. So, ito talaga yung core na business nila, di ba? Whether it's providing prepaid services to their customers or yung mga postpaid, no, mga plans kung saan in a way para kang nakasubscribe, no, sa Globe. Nagkakaroon ka ng mga unli calls, di ba? Unli text, may mga promo pagdating sa data, may binabayaran kang phone na installment. And syempre pagdating dun sa prepaid, ayun na yung mga binibenta nilang mga promos at kung ano-ano pang mga load, di ba? So, mobile services take up the bulk nitong telco segment nila. And then, the second one is broadband or internet services. So, ito na yung mga Globe at Home, di ba? Globe 5G, yung mga modem nila na ang purpose is to provide internet. And then, enterprise and corporate services. So, part ng telco in a way pero hindi kasing kilala at impactful compared dito sa mobile tapos internet or broadband services nila. And pagdating naman dito sa GCash segment nila, which ayun nga, 25%, 1/4 ng buong income nila. So, I'm sure you're familiar with all the services provided by GCash naman, no? Imposibleng hindi ka gumagamit ng GCash. So, andyan yung payments, di ba? E-wallet, ginagamit mo pag-transfer sa mga banks, ginagamit mo rin na as a receiving wallet kung may mga magbabayad sa'yo. And then, they also provide credit, different types of savings account. You can also do investments, di ba? May G-stocks, may G-invest, no? May mutual funds na pwede mong gawin sa GCash, tapos marami pang iba. And other services as well, na kung saan marami silang mga partner din na mga companies or mga corporations, no? So, bakit ba yung Globe down by nearly 28% last year? So, why did this happen? And the main reason pagdating dito sa weakness na nakita natin sa Globe last year is actually a trend na hindi lang sa 2024, 2025, but it actually started nung 2022 pa. So, as you can see here, yung income nila nung 2022, bumaba, no? Nung pa 2023. Tapos from 2023, pababa ulit ng 2024. And then 2024, pababa pa rin. So, we can say that in a 3 to 4 year span, talagang pababa yung income ng Globe. So, of course, it's gonna reflect sa stock price because market participants see Globe as having decreasing income or humihina yung negosyo. And the second reason na talagang naka-affect at sobrang laki nung drop na nagawa nung around second half na ng 2025 is yung Konektadong Pinoy Bill or yung Konektadong Pinoy Act, no? So, itong bill na to matagal nang napapag-usapan and then nag-lapse into law nung last week ng August, no? Tapos talagang naka-affect to sa karamihan ng mga telco businesses sa Philippines, no? So, hindi lang Globe yung naapektuhan dyan, pati Tel, PLDT, no? Which is of course the parent company of Smart, and then Converge, no? Kahit wala silang mobile services, naapektuhan din. So, pag-uusapan ko yan mamaya, no? So, we'll delve deeper sa Konektadong Pinoy Bill. And the third one, which is the delay sa IPO ng GCash. So, here's an article by Philippine Star nung July 28 na kung saan sinasabi ng GCash na chief unsure daw kung yung IPO mangyayari pa noong 2025. So isipin mo yon, pababa yung income ng Globe, tapos nagkaroon pa ng Konektadong Pinoy Bill na naging Konektadong Pinoy Act, tapos hindi pa natuloy yung IPO ng GCash na sobrang tagal ng pinag-uusapan. So talagang tatlong negative catalysts yung nangyari no sa Globe. So, now that you have a basic understanding on what's happening or what's happened sa Globe nung 2024-2025, we're going to talk about the speculative nature ng stock, no? So, ito hindi na to part ng facts, no? Kasi it's more of a speculation na, and it's just a part of my research and the things that I know about when it comes to Globe and the overall market conditions. So, pag-usapan muna natin yung mga risks na pwede din nating masabing negative catalysts ng Globe, no? So, pinakauna, since yung bulk talaga ng business ng Globe is yung telco segment nila, which is providing mobile services and internet services. So, ang pinakauna talagang makakaapekto ng negatively sa stock is of course telco competition. So, 2017, yung mobile market share sa Philippines when it comes to the mobile telecommunications, yung Globe 55%, yung Smart under PLDT or Tel is 45%. So, clearly, meron tayong duopoly, no? And you could consider na Globe yung may onting market dominance kasi lamang siya ng 10%, diba? And then, 2017, no, pagdating naman sa home broadband na market share, PLDT naman yung lamang, no, may 45% sila, pero hindi masyadong malayo yung Globe, nasa 40%. Tapos, itong others na 15%, ito yung mga maliliit na company, diba, na nakakalat, no, sa mga different provinces sa Pilipinas, sa mga areas na hindi pa kayang i-reach ng Globe tsaka PLDT. But what happened after a few years, no? So, fast forward tayo from 2017. So, ito ulit yung 2017 na donut chart, and then here's what the mobile market share looks like sa pinaka-recent na data. So, Globe, meron sila dating 55%, ngayon 44% na lang. Tapos yung Smart 40%, kasi may bagong pumasok na market player or market participant, which is of course dito. And yun nga, nabawasan yung Globe ng masasabi natin around 11%, diba? So, syempre malaki yun. So, that's about 20%, diba? Nung market share nila kasi from 55 naging 44 na lang. And ito yung 2017 na broadband market share. And ngayon, here's what it looks like. PLDT pa rin yung market leader. And yung pangalawa is hindi na Globe, but it's already converged, no, with 30%. So, yung Globe, 20%. Tapos yung others, 8% na lang. So, from 40%, yung market share ng Globe naging 20%. So, cut in half, no? 50% yung nawalang market share sa kanila. So, grabe talagang yung main business nila, mobile services, tapos internet na broadband service, talagang napababa, no? Yung market share nila because of competition. And yung data na yon is just the recent, no? Or somehow the present market share data. So, kakalabas pa lang nito yung Konektadong Pinoy Act ng second half of 2025. Pero ano ba yung ginagawa nitong Konektadong Pinoy Bill? So, one of the measures in the list of the common priorities of the Legislative Executive Development Advisory Committee. So, ang gusto talagang gawin ng Konektadong Pinoy Bill na to is to scrap the barriers to entry of new service providers to address itong digital divide, no? Lalo na sa mga far-flung areas. So, ang gustong mangyari ng government natin is may mga iba pang pumasok na mga market players, may mga iba pang pumasok na mga investors, mga companies para makapag-provide pa ng mas mura at siguro mas efficient, mas better na mobile services, no, sa mga probinsya na hindi pa talaga kayang mabigyan ng service ng mga naunang companies na to. So, mas pinapadali niya yung proseso in order for these companies to provide itong mobile and internet service nila. Kasi 'di ba, syempre marami pang mga lugar sa Pilipinas na walang signal, walang internet. Sa panahon ngayon, syempre, hindi na pwedeng walang internet, 'di ba? So, Konektadong Pinoy Act is very significant because potentially, no, it can further decrease yung market share ng Globe. Kasi isipin mo yon, from being a duopoly, Smart tapos Globe lang, ngayon may kalaban na silang dito, 'di ba? So, ibig sabihin ba nito next year, no, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, may pumasok na isa or dalawa pa? Ibig sabihin sa mobile services, 5 na silang maglalaban-laban, 'di ba, for market share. Tapos ganun din sa internet or broadband services, no. Ngayon na naglalaban-laban is Globe, PLDT and Converge. So, pwedeng may pumasok isa or dalawa pang bagong companies na magpo-provide ng internet. So, syempre, mababawasan yung market share nila, which of course means bawas revenue, bawas income yun, di ba? So, the second risk or second negative na catalyst is of course yung GCash na competition. So ngayon kasi, we can say that GCash has market dominance pagdating sa mga e-wallet, no? So estimates niyan around 65%, tapos yung PayMaya or yung Maya is 35%. So masasabi mong 2/3 talaga ng market, GCash talaga yung lamang eh. Pero ang tanong, syempre, hanggang kailan, di ba? Kasi kung dati nga, sa mobile, Smart tas Globe lang. So, ito, dalawa na naman sila, no? Kasi alam naman natin na yung Maya is sa Smart PLDT. So, dalawa pa lang sila ngayon, no? So, sinong makakapagsabi na soon or in the future, magkaroon pa ng isang company or dalawa na lalaban pagdating sa e-wallet na industry or na business? Which brings me to the third na negative catalyst or risk, which is of course regulation from the government. So, isang example nito, no, nung mid-year, June, July, nung nagkaroon ng investigation or we had so much issues from online gambling ng mga different platforms, and then napagkasunduan ng mga regulators, no, ng mga government officials natin that these e-wallets need to unlink from these online gambling platforms, no, so GCash and Maya. And naka-affect yun syempre sa business nila because whenever people, 'di ba, fund their accounts dito sa mga platforms na to, syempre may mga fees yan, 'di ba? So isipin mo yung nawalang fees sa mga e-wallets or mga businesses na to. So here are some examples of the services that GCash provides. So mga QR payments, bill payments, electronic transfers, no, consumer loans, installment financing, bank partner services, and sobrang dami pa. So, example lang to. So, the big question is, will other services of GCash be regulated by the government? Kasi syempre, pag na-regulate yung mga services nila, bawas income na naman, bawas revenue ulit. And ano pa bang mga regulations yung pwedeng gawin ng government pagdating sa telco industry? Because Konektadong Pinoy Act is already a form of regulation eh, di ba? So, in the future, ano pa ba yung pwede nilang baguhin ng mga rules? Ano pa yung pwede nilang baguhin ng mga legislations in order to improve yung telco space sa Philippines na of course it can somehow negatively affect, 'di ba, yung Globe at GCash. So before we go to the next segment of the discussion, so I just checked itong subscriber count ko sa analytics. So currently around 1,933. So the next milestone and goal for this channel is to reach 2,000 subscribers. So if you're new to this channel and you're finding value so far and you're learning stuff about the stock market, or kung nakapanood ka na ng mga ibang videos ko and you're not yet subscribed, make sure that you like this video and subscribe sa channel na to so that you'll be updated sa mga future videos ko. So, balik tayo sa discussion. So, why has price recovered by nearly 19% in the past 2 months alone? And ano pa ba yung opposite ng risks or ng negative catalysts? Ano ba yung mga positive catalysts that is affecting or could possibly affect Globe para makarecover siya or gumanda yung galaw ng stock price? So, the first one, I think sobrang significant nung GCash na IPO as a positive catalyst for Globe. So, earlier sa discussion, may napakita akong headline sa isang article na kung saan sinabi doon na hindi daw matutuloy yung IPO ng GCash ng 2025. Kaya yung effect niya negative, no? Kasi inaasahan ng mga tao na baka makapag-IPO yung GCash ng 2025. So, around 4Q, fourth quarter 2025, na-mention dito na pinopostpone nga ng GCash yung IPO nila for 2025, but they are now planning to do the IPO mid-2026. So, siguro start ng second half ng year or pagpatapos na yung first half, no? So, aiming for June to July ba na IPO? Pero bakit nga ba sobrang significant ng GCash IPO and bakit ganun na lang yung effect niya sa stock price ng Globe, no? Pag halimbawa, ang napalabas na news is negative when it comes to the GCash IPO, talagang negative yung effect sa price. Pag nagiging positive yung mga news or yung mga articles when it comes to the IPO, yung price ng Globe tumataas. So, what does a GCash IPO do? You probably already have an idea what is an IPO. So, hindi ko na pag-uusapan kung ano yung IPO. Pag-uusapan ko na lang dito kung ano ba yung GCash IPO, tas ano ba yung pwede niyang gawin for Globe. That's why it's so significant. So, what are the benefits, no? What exactly are the benefits to Globe once GCash makes an IPO? So, yung pinakauna kasing benefit niyan ng GCash IPO is what we call stock price re-rating. And specifically, the reason for this is sa case ng GCash at ng Globe, the stock price re-rating would be due to a price discovery or public price discovery. So, I'm going to use an example outside the stock market to somehow simplify yung concept na to at para mas madali siyang maintindihan. But of course, no, I'm not gonna use yung mga specific na mga words, no. Talagang sobrang simplified lang para madaling maintindihan. So, thought experiment lang muna tayo, and for example, sa thought experiment na to, sa scenario na to, gusto mong malaman kung ano yung net worth mo. Okay? So, kung ano yung value ng mga assets mo, no? So, halimbawa, you have two personal assets, okay? So, you have a house and you have a car. So, for the sake of simplicity, itong dalawa lang talaga yung assets mo, tas wala kang utang, okay? So, again, for the sake of simplicity lang, meron kang bahay, tas meron kang kotse. So, you want to know what your net worth is, but you don't exactly know how to value itong mga assets mo. So, you ask two friends who are more knowledgeable than you when it comes to computing itong mga value ng assets na to so that you can come up with your net worth. So, you first ask friend number 1. So, sabi niya, yung bahay mo is worth 3.1 million, no, based sa research niya, based sa pagkakaalam niya sa presyo ng mga bahay at ng lupa. And sabi niya, your car is worth 1 million. So, if you're going to compute your net worth based on his data or his opinion, magkano yung net worth mo, no, according to friend number 1. So, it's simply just 3.1M na house plus 1 million na car. So, that leads you to 4.1 million na net worth. So, you then go to friend number 2 and you ask para sa second opinion. So, ito si friend number 2, he says that your house is worth 3.2 million and your car is worth 1.1 million. So, how much is your net worth according to friend number 2? So, 3.2 million na house, 1.1 million na car. So, kung we're just going to add that, that leads to 4.3 million na net worth. So, ibig sabihin, ito yung magiging itsura niya, no, pag pinagsama natin siya sa isang slide. Si friend number 1, 4.1 million net worth ka daw. Si friend number 2, 4.3 million net worth. So, kung titingnan natin yung estimate nila parehas, magkaiba yung tingin nila ng value ng bahay mo, magkaiba rin yung tingin nilang value ng sasakyan mo. That's why, no, of course, yung net worth mo para sa kanilang dalawa, syempre magkaiba. So, fast forward, no, let's say you were able to sell your car for 1.4 million. So, nabenta mo yung sasakyan mo. What assets do you have now? So, ano lang yung assets mo? Syempre, wala ka ng sasakyan kasi binenta mo na nga eh. But, now, you have a house and you have 1.4 million in cash. So, you go back to ask your friends again kung magkano na ba yung net worth mo. So, yung value ng assets mo. So, kanina, ito yung itsura. But since wala ka ng sasakyan, we need to remove that. And we're going to replace yung car mo na nabenta mo na into 1.4 million cash. So, what you're seeing here is that, okay, iba pa rin yung net worth mo based kay friend number 1 tapos friend number 2. And the only reason for that is because kay friend number 1, yung bahay mo is 3.1. Kay friend number 2, yung bahay mo 3.2. Pero hindi na sila nagkakaroon ng different opinion pagdating dito sa isa mong asset because it's no longer a car, cash na siya. So, parehas na silang nag-a-agree na 1.4 million yung isa mong asset, which is of course yung cash. So, this means that in order for you to have a more objective view ng net worth mo, ang up na lang for debate is kung magkano yung value ng bahay mo, 'di ba? how does this example, this real-world example na sinobra kong simplify, relate to Globe? So, gaya nga ng sabi ko kanina, stock price re-rating, no, due to price discovery. So, ngayon kasi, Globe has two main assets. And ito yung kanilang telco business na pinag-usapan natin kanina, which is of course, broadband services and mobile services. Tapos, yung GCash. Market participants can't put a specific number on the valuation of Globe overall because GCash has no IPO yet. No, ibig sabihin, yung mga financial statements niya, yung mga reports are still private kasi hindi nga sila public company. So, only the telco side of things have public reports kasi matagal ng business ng Globe yung telco business nila eh. Thus, making it difficult for investors and traders to put a more objective valuation of Globe. Kasi ang well-researched, ang napapag-usapan, ang somehow meron ng price discovery is yung telco side ng business nila. Pero yung GCash, hindi pa masyado. So, it could be possible no, na market participant number 1 looks at the telco business of Globe tapos sasabihin niya, I think it's worth 136 billion. Tapos, informed analysis, speculative analysis na yung GCash is worth 103 billion. So, pag inad nila yung telco tapos GCash, lumalabas na pwedeng ang valuation ng Globe is 239 billion. So, pwede rin na market participant number 2 thinks that the telco business of Globe is worth 134 billion, pero yung GCash naman is navavalue niya ng 106 billion. So, ang lalabas, yung overall valuation ng Globe is 240 billion. No? So, you get the picture. Pwedeng may market participant 3 tapos ang tingin niya yung telco business 140 tapos yung GCash 95 billion lang. So, the opinions, the analysis, the speculation can go on and on. But the thing is, sobrang vague talaga pagdating nung sa GCash kasi wala pang public data when it comes to the financials of GCash. So, as of January 14, yung closing price ng Globe is 1,660. And yung Globe outstanding shares, no, which is data na nakuha ko from PSE Edge, is around 144 million. So, in order to compute yung market capitalization ng Globe, all we have to do is yung closing price, which is 1,660, i-multiply natin sa outstanding shares, which is 144 million, and that leads to 239.82 billion in market capitalization. This means, at present, the market as a whole, so combination ng lahat ng opinions, lahat ng analysis ng mga market participants, whether retailers yan, institutions, mga investment firms, foreigners, they're valuing Globe as a whole as if the worth of the telco business and GCash is 239.82 billion pesos. No? So, ibig sabihin, lahat ng opinion ng mga taong interested at hindi interested dito sa Globe, sinasabi nila na ang worth ng Globe is 239.82 billion. So, nearly 240 billion. So, dito pumapasok yung sinasabi ko na price re-rating due to price discovery because GCash is not wholly owned by Globe. May mga iba't ibang companies na may significant share pagdating sa GCash. But the ownership of Globe in recent reports, no, around 34%. So, masasabi mo na a third of GCash is owned by Globe. So, here's an article from Bloomberg and sabi dito, GCash to seek at least $8 billion in IPO valuation. So, syempre, since in dollars yan, so let's assume that GCash has a successful IPO, no, oversubscribed, tapos nakuha nila yung gusto nilang IPO valuation. So, of course, yung dollars, i-convert pa natin yan into peso. So, 8 billion sa exchange rate, kunwari, na 59. It's gonna be 472 billion pesos. So, kung yung 472 billion pesos na value ng GCash, may 34% ownership dun yung Globe, that means 160.48 billion pesos yung value ng ownership ng Globe sa GCash. So, ito yung nakita nating computation kanina ng mga opinions or analysis ng iba't ibang market participants. So, nagkakaiba sila lahat ng valuation because iba yung tingin nila sa GCash, iba yung tingin nila sa telco business. So, pag nagkaroon na ng IPO yung GCash tapos nagkaroon ng public price discovery, itong valuation na analysis, no, mga opinion, speculative na analysis ng mga market participants, they somehow need to decide na gawing malapit sa IPO valuation yung GCash, which is of course itong 160 to 161 billion kung mangyari man siya. So, si market participant 1, si market participant 2, pwedeng sa analysis niya, ma-value niya na yung GCash malapit sa 160.48 billion. So, mag-iiba pa rin yung analysis nila sa telco business. But the thing that happened is yung overall valuation ng Globe tumaas. So from 239 to 240, it's possible that market participants may now consider that the valuation of Globe can lead to 290, 294, 296, 300 billion. So, due to this public price discovery brought about by the IPO, market participants have a more objective valuation of Globe because now they can value the company ng mas objective nga dahil mas mapapag-usapan na yung value ng telco business ng Globe since meron na rin tayong significant na data since public information na yung majority ng financials ng GCash. So, the second benefit naman pagdating nitong GCash IPO is yung optional monetization na pwedeng gawin ng Globe. So, if GCash is already publicly traded, kapag nakapag-IPO na sila, now in the future, Globe can decide to sell yung GCash na shares nila publicly, no, in the open market, pwedeng during the IPO. So, hindi natin alam, pwedeng in the future, pag nakapag-IPO na yung GCash, tumaas yung value ng GCash, no? Maraming mga investors o mga traders na bumibili ng GCash. Tapos, Globe can use that as an opportunity to sell some shares. And yung mabibenta nilang shares dito, no, they can use to fund for capital expenses, capex, about debt repayments. So, pwede nilang ipambayad sa utang, pwedeng gamitin nila yung pera na yon in order to fix certain things sa company. So, it eventually leads to Globe having a better financial position. So, di natin masasabi, di ba, pwedeng magamit ng Globe yung pera na yon para mapa-improve pa yung systems nila, magkaroon pa sila ng mga iba't ibang type ng negosyo or pwede pa silang magkaroon ng kapital na makipag-partner sa mga iba't ibang companies pa, di ba? So, ultimately, magiging positive catalyst siya sa stock. And since IPO na yung GCash, may chance na siyang magkaroon pa ng better funding since they're already a public company, no? Hindi natin alam, pwede silang mag-offer ng mga preferred shares. So, pag nakabenta sila ng preferred shares, magkakaroon sila ng capital. Pwedeng magamit nila yun to further expand, no? Provide more services, have more capital to partner with different companies. So, it just means na magkakaroon sila ng mas malaking capital to allocate sa negosyo nila and to further improve itong GCash. So, aside sa GCash IPO, another catalyst that I see na positive is if GCash maintains market dominance or possibly takes more market share. So, napag-usapan ko to kanina na sa ngayon, 2/3 of the e-wallet, no, or itong digital wallet na mga services na industry, talagang GCash talaga yung leading, yung market leader. And only 1/3, no, or a little more than 1/3 sa PayMaya or Maya. So, you're reading the names of certain brands na andito sa Pilipinas na alam natin na merong market dominance or sikat na mga company, di ba? So, andyan yung Foodpanda, Grab, Lalamove. They're somehow in the same category of Globe kasi although yung mga services na ginagawa nila is hindi naman bago, masasabi natin na there's a technological advancement or hindi lang basta-basta normal na service yung meron sila because it's efficient. So, ano ba yung isa sa mga things in common na mga brands or mga companies na to despite them somehow operating ng iba't ibang industries, no? Although, mga certain services nila, pwedeng nag-share sila ng industry, no? Pero, masasabi natin na talagang meron talaga silang mga industries or mga services na sila talaga yung top. So, maliban doon, ano pa ba yung thing na in common sa kanila? So, this is not just a phenomenon na present dito sa tatlong companies na to, but is also present pagdating sa international companies, no? It's that when brands or services or companies, no, yung pangalan ng brand nila become a verb or maging isang pandiwa, you know that these companies have market dominance. And this is one phenomenon na yung GCash shares with these three companies or brands that I mentioned, no? Kasi bakit? Halimbawa, may scenario, right? You need to pay someone or may magbabayad sa'yo. So, instead of saying na bayaran mo ako dito sa blank or bayaran kita dito sa blank, you just say na GCash mo sa akin or GCash ko sa'yo. So, nagiging siyang action word, no? Nagiging siyang verb, nagiging siyang pandiwa. Sa scenario number 2, kung nasa isang store ka, no, nasa isang shop ka, grocery or sa mall. So, instead of saying, ito yung bayad na nag-aabot ka ng cash, ang nasasabi na ng mga tao is pwede ba yung GCash or simply saying GCash or looking for a QR code. So, to me, this is market dominance, no? At sabi ko nga, hindi lang yan dito sa Pilipinas because in the international business world, ganun din, no? Halimbawa, sa Google, di ba? Hindi na siya magsisearch ka sa internet or magsisurf ka sa internet. It's i-google mo, which means synonymous sa pag-search, di ba? And sobrang dami pang ibang examples ng mga ganitong type ng brands or services, which I think is proof that GCash is one of the market leaders pagdating sa ganitong business or service. And this is not just speculation, but makikita natin yung evidence pagdating sa posibleng income na nakukuha ng Globe sa GCash. So, from the start of 2021, 2022, under a billion lang, and it's actually increasing, no, every year. So from 0.81 noong 2022, naging ng 2.4 billion, 2024 3.8 billion, 2025 5.30 billion. So based sa napag-usapan natin kanina, downtrending yung income pagdating sa telco business side of things. Pero pagdating dito sa GCash na segment, nag-i-increase siya. So, this is why the GCash IPO is really significant because GCash is actually helping itong Globe despite only being 25%, 24% or 1/4 ng income nila, di ba? So, the third positive catalyst, Globe maintains yung market share niya pagdating sa telco segment or possibly even get more market share. So, ito nga yung mga donut charts na napakita ko kanina. Sa mobile services, pwedeng eto na yung maging itsura na market share for years to come or even better kung kaya pang kumuha ng Globe ng market share from Smart and Dito. And even if may mga pumasok pa na market players dahil sa konektadong Pinoy Bill, ma-maintain pa rin nila yung market share nila or hindi maging sobrang effective yung mga bagong pasok na market players tapos lamang pa rin yung Globe. And the same story pagdating sa internet or broadband services, pwedeng ma-maintain ng Globe ito despite may mga pumasok na bagong market players because of the konektadong Pinoy Bill or makuha niya yung market share ng PLDT tapos ng Converge para bumalik ulit siya sa top 2 ng nagpo-provide ng broadband services, no, sa Philippines. So, for the next segment ng video, I'm now going to talk about the technicals, specifically the chart of Globe. But before I go sa chart, I want you guys to look again dito sa income trend ng Globe, no? So, makikita natin na from 2021 to 2022 tumaas siya, tapos from 2022 pababa ng pababa. So, punta na tayo sa chart. So, ito yung chart ng Globe and we're currently seeing yung 2025 to 2026 na chart niya. But if I'm going to zoom out sa 2021 to 2022, makikita natin yung 2021 niya tapos tumaas papuntang 2022 and then ito na yon yung 2022 up to 2025 pababa. So somehow nagagaya niya, no, yung galaw ng income trend ng Globe tapos yung chart. But the difference is, kung makikita natin dito, sa same span na itsura ng chart, isang beses lang tumaas yung Globe, no, from 2021 to 2022. Kasi 2022 sa 2023 pababa, 2023 to 2024 pababa pa rin. Tapos 2024 to 2025 pababa. But if we're going to look at the chart, pag tinanggal ko yung mga arrows dito, fina-follow niya yung 2021 up to 2022 pataas. Tapos 2022 papuntang 2023 pababa. Tapos 2023 to 2024 pababa. Pero yung 2024 papuntang 2025 tumaas. And then by the end of 2024 pababa na siya ulit. So the question is, bakit nagkaroon ng increase ng price nung 2024 up to 2025 and bakit sobrang laki nung naging increase from 2021 to 2022 despite hindi naman dumoble yung income ng Globe during this period, no? And the reason for that is because during this period kasi, yung second half ng 2021, dito nagsisimula yung mga news, no, mga speculation na yung Globe nga daw is magkakaroon ng GCash na IPO. So, the reason why from a loss of 1,700 during this period, tumaas talaga yung Globe ng nearly 100%, no? Because aside from the increasing income for the year, pumasok yung hype ng GCash IPO. And the same goes dito sa period na to. na nag-increase yung price ng Globe by nearly 44%. Kasi usap-usapan ulit, yung GCash IPO, nagkakaroon ng bagong developments, no? So, isipin yon, yung income somehow decreasing yung trend, pero nagkakaroon ng magandang catalyst or news when it comes to GCash, kaya yung price na itataas. So, I'm not saying na kapag nag-IPO yung GCash this year or kung malate man next year, na mangyayari ulit, no? Yung nakikita nating nangyari ng different time periods. So, hindi ko sinasabi na ganun. What I'm saying is, hindi natin pwedeng tanggalin yung GCash IPO na wala lang, no? So, it's definitely a factor because every time nagkakaroon ng positive or significant news about it, nagkakaroon ng price re-rating kasi mas nare-realize ng mga tao yung possible na value ng GCash. So, it's a good investing thought, no? It's a good investing na thought process to just factor in pagdating sa pag-analyze ng nagiging movement ng Globe, no, for the past 4 or 5 years. So, now, let's zoom in and go back sa present na chart and let's analyze yung price action ng Globe. So, ito nga yung sinasabi ko, no, earlier that around November, na-establish na ng Globe yung low niya na 1,401 tapos nakapag-close siya dito. So, ayan, more than 18%, no, nearly 19% yung naging recovery niya na price, no, despite it already going down by more than 20%. So, if we're going to look sa short-term trend na posibleng ginagawa ng Globe, pag nilabas ko yung moving average na 20, we can see that several candles are already above the MA20. Tapos, mako-confirm pa natin yan because around the third week of December, nung nakahanap ng support yung stock, it has been going up ever since. So, we can say that the stock is currently on a short-term uptrend. So, how about the moving average 50? So, pag nilagay ko yan dyan, nakikita din natin na several candles are already up sa MA50 and nagsimula yan nung November 13 pa. So, masasabi natin na around 2 months na nasa taas na ng MA50 yung mga prices, no? And this means Globe could be shifting from a medium-term consolidation leading towards a medium-term uptrend since yung mga candles natin is above na ng MA50, no? And then, if I remove the MA50 and show the MA100, we can see that although nag-dip yung price, no, nung December 19 and December 22, nakita natin na naka-recover na yung price and hindi pa siya nagkakaroon ng significant close below the MA100, which means it could be the change or shift sa sentiment ng mga market participants na hindi na long-term downtrend yung nakikita sa Globe, no? Kasi if we're going to zoom out a little bit, makikita natin na around first week, second week, April, simula nung nag-start yung sobrang tagal na downtrend ng Globe. So, from April, November lang siya ulit nakabawi sa taas ng moving average 100. So, that's about 7 months, no? Less than 8 months. So, talagang sa buong period na yan, pababa lang yung Globe. So, if we're going to look sa current price levels na very important sa Globe, so we can see na nagkaroon siya ng double top, no, in the short term. So, ito siya. Yung price na 1,745 and 1,765.80. So, I think ito talaga yung very significant area ng Globe na kung saan ito yung resistance na kailangan niyang malagpasan para masabi natin fully na recovered na siya tapos confirmed talaga yung reversal, no? And sa ngayon, yung immediate resistance kasi ng Globe is itong level na to. So, 1,655, no? And dahil nga ayan yung resistance, if I'm going to plot the range na ginawa niya, we can see na Globe was struggling, no, nitong January 14. So, may maliit siya na breakout dyan, pero nagkaroon pa rin ng bentahan. So, we can see that from the upper wick here. And since ito yung nagawa nating consolidation and the range, and yung low nito is 1,520, ito na actually yung support ng Globe. So, ibig sabihin, immediate resistance dito sa 1,655 and yung immediate support niya is yung 1,520. So, ano ba yung posibleng support na next, no? In the event na mabutas ng Globe itong price level na to. So, you can either look at it sa consolidation na to ulit kasi nag-create yung Globe ng consolidation dyan eh. So, ibig sabihin pwedeng itong around 1.5 na level or itong 1.432 along with the possible swing low dito sa 1.401, no? Since may grabing consolidation dito, pwedeng pag bumaba yung price ng Globe, ito na ulit yung mag-serve as support kasi baka may mga willing pang sumalo sa level na to. But, syempre, ito yung nakikita natin na obvious na support kasi syempre, hanggang dyan lang umabot yung price and nagkaroon siya ng swing low. So, in the short term, pag na-continue ng Globe itong move niya na to na kung saan may slight breakout siya, pero let's say for the remainder of the week, gumalaw yung market ng maganda talaga at ng mas favorable and hindi natin alam, di ba? Nagkaroon ng mga magandang catalyst or further positive announcements sa Globe, then I can definitely see Globe testing this resistance here, yung key resistance level na yan. So, gaya nga ng sabi ko kanina, if the stock moves above this price level, no, mas magiging confident na ako sabihin na naka-recover na talaga yung Globe and ito na yung reversal niya. But sa hindi inaasahan ng mga news, no, mga negative catalyst or kung magkaroon na naman akong anong delay sa GCash or mapakita yung earnings nila na humihina, then it's still a possibility that Globe can make a breakdown from this consolidation and go to these price levels kasi ito na yung next best support niya eh. So for me, no, this means that kung walang masyadong mangyayari sa Globe, pwedeng pag nag-resist itong level na to, tapos hindi enough yung catalyst para mabutas niya yung price levels na yan, pwedeng ang gawin ng Globe is dito siya magkaroon ng consolidation sa malaking area na yan, no? Up until magkaroon ng significant na news pagdating sa GCash or sa pag-improve pa ng telco business nila. So, na-mention ko nga kanina that I have a position sa Globe, nearly 12% gains excluding the dividends. So, itong Globe kasi, matagal ko nang pinag-uusapan. I think September, October pa lang. And I actually created a video nung around October na exclusive and private video talking about Globe as it's a part of the stocks that I'm monitoring to buy, no? So, this video, how I approach Globe, kung paano ko siya nahuli at kung ano yung mga gagawin kong adjustments in the present time and possibly in the future, mapapag-usapan ko pa. So, these videos, itong mga exclusive videos na to is available sa membership group ng channel ko na to. So, there are actually 3 tiers na pwede nyong salihan. So, andyan yung compounding crew na meron kayong access sa exclusive goodbye or goodbye videos because there are certain videos na mas marami akong napapag-usapan, no, if you become a part of this tier. And Trader's Table na kung saan mas napapag-usapan ko yung mga ibang trade dissections at breakdowns na ginagawa ko. And I also have the updates sa 24K to 1M na portfolio. So, I talk about the stocks na hawak ko dyan and the stocks that I'm monitoring to buy. And you also have the starter access to the Philippine Stock Market Trading course where I teach my trading and investing system. And lastly, itong Market Masters, everything from compounding crew and Trader's Table and a whole lot more. So, makikita nyo yun dyan sa screen, yung mga nakabulleted na perks and benefits. So, all you have to do to become a member is send me an email sa mga email address na yan with the following details. So, for the conclusion of this video, yung long-term outlook ko for Globe will definitely be a buy for me kapag na-fulfill niya yung mga certain catalysts. So, pagdating sa mobile services, kailangan no, ma-maintain niya yung market share or even better, take more market share and mapakita niya na nagre-recover na yung income. Pagdating sa internet services, halos parehas lang. Maintain market share even if new players come in because of the Konektadong Pinoy Bill. Or better, take more market share from Converge and PLDT or Tel. And income recovery rin, syempre. And pagdating dito sa GCash, the IPO needs to happen fast, no? It needs to be successful, oversubscribed, and ayun nga, dapat mangyari talaga nitong 2026, no? Kasi sobrang tagal niya, no? 4-5 taon natang pinag-uusapan yung IPO ng GCash na yan. So, it definitely needs to happen. And when the IPO happens, itong GCash, no? Magkaroon sila ng enough capital so that they maintain itong market dominance nila and take even more market share. So, for the Globe Strategic Outcome Matrix, make sure to check yung pinned comment section so you can have access to it. For the short term to medium term, I definitely be interested to buy and add sa Globe positions ko if there are trade setups available. Of course, in combination with the catalysts that I mentioned earlier. So how about you guys? What do you think about Globe? You can share your thoughts sa comment section below. If you haven't watched my other goodbye or goodbye videos, click towards the upper right. If you want to watch my videos regarding stock market lessons, click towards the lower right. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe sa channel so that you'll be updated sa mga future videos ko.